Have you ever lost faith so completely that even when a miracle comes knocking, you no longer have the courage to open the door? A wealthy, powerful man, a father who had everything except the life of his little girl, lying silent in a coma. And then, one freezing winter night, a homeless black boy barefoot, holding an old broken guitar, walked into his life and said something that made the whole world stop. I can wake her up. If it were you, would you believe him? Would you hold on to that single, fragile thread of hope? Or turn away, bearing your heart beneath cold reason? Because sometimes, between despair and miracle, there's only one thing that can bridge the gap: a word, a song, or a faith strong enough to bring someone back. And this is the story that made millions cry. Homeless black boy says he can wake millionaires. Daughter, what happens next is unbelievable. If you've ever loved, ever lost, or ever longed for a second chance, watch till the very end. And before we begin, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that will touch your heart. Seattle. Winter. The sky hangs heavy, a dull sheet of gray. Snow drifts lazily onto the bare branches outside Seattle Mercy Hospital. Inside a fifth-floor room, cold white light spills over the face of a man sitting motionless beside a hospital bed. His hair is streaked with silver, his coat still dusted with snow. A half-empty cup of coffee sits forgotten on the table, his eyes dark, hollow tell of countless sleepless nights. They call him Ethan Cole, tech billionaire, founder of America's leading AI empire, a man once gracing the covers of Forbes, commanding stages lit with brilliance and applause. But now, no light in the world seems strong enough to pierce the darkness inside him. On the bed lies Lila Cole, his 9-year-old daughter, her face pale and still, eyelids closed, lashes trembling faintly as if caught in a dream with no way out. The IV drips steadily. The heart monitor beeps a cold, steady rhythm, indifferent, mechanical. The doctors said her brain had slipped into a deep coma after a fall in their penthouse apartment, a small accident that shattered Ethan's entire world in a heartbeat. He remembers that morning vividly. Lila had spilled coffee all over his project drawings. Already on edge before a critical meeting, Ethan snapped, "What are you doing, Lila?" Her frightened eyes froze. She stumbled back, slipped, fell. It happened in seconds he would spend years wishing he could undo. Now, everything he once owned stocks. Fame. Power means nothing. He would trade it all just to hear her laugh again. But the only sound left in the room is the steady, merciless beep of a machine. Outside, the snow falls harder. Streetlights glow dimly through the frosted glass, soft and blurred like fading memories. Ethan sits still, holding her small, cold hand in his. He tries to speak, but his throat tightens. Only a weary sigh escapes, blending with the hum of the machines. The door creaks open. The lead doctor steps in, voice calm but firm. "Mr. Cole, we've done everything we can. There's been no improvement in Lila's condition. Perhaps it's time to consider the next step." Ethan looks up, eyes empty. The next step. The doctor hesitates, preparing to remove the life support. The air freezes. Ethan doesn't respond. He just turns to his daughter, brushes her hair gently. "I'm not signing anything. Not today. Not ever." The doctor nods quietly and leaves. The door closes. Silence floods back in. Night falls. The hospital grows hauntingly still. Ethan sits slumped in his chair, his gaze fixed on that tiny hand resting in his. He remembers his late wife's words. "Years ago, I don't need you to be a genius. Ethan, I just need you to be a father who listens." He had laughed back then. Now, those words cut deep sharper than any blade. The clock reads 11:04 p.m. A gust of icy wind slips through the crack beneath the door, carrying the scent of snow. Ethan rises, stepping into the dim hallway searching for air, or maybe just a moment away from the sterile scent of antiseptic. The lobby is nearly empty. A janitor sweeps quietly, broom whispering across the tiles. In the corner, volunteers hand out warm meals to the homeless sheltering nearby. Metal spoons clink softly against tin bowls. Muffled thank yous drift through the cold. Ethan stands still, hands deep in his coat pockets, eyes lost. He doesn't know what he's waiting for, perhaps just someone to say it's going to be okay. But no one does. Just as he turns to leave, a voice calls from behind. "Sir, are you Mr. Cole?" He pauses. A boy, maybe 12, stands a few feet away, black, thin, barefoot in the snow, wearing a frayed hoodie, his face smudged, but his eyes calm, bright, and strangely steady. "What do you want?" Ethan's voice is hoarse. The boy nods slightly. "I heard your daughter is sleeping." Ethan frowns. "Who told you that?" "No one," the boy replies softly. "I just know, and I can wake her up." Ethan freezes, thinking he misheard. He studies the boy's ragged clothes, trembling hands. Nothing about him that suggests anything but hardship. He lets out a dry laugh. "What did you just say? I can wake her?" The boy repeats, firm and clear. "If you let me." A gust of wind rushes through the doorway, scattering flakes of snow across the floor. Ethan stares at him for a long moment, unsure whether to laugh or to rage. But there's something in those eyes, something unwavering, something that feels like faith. He clenches his fists, holding himself steady. "Kid, this is a hospital. It's not a place for games. Go home, it's freezing." The boy doesn't move. He simply whispers, "Sometimes, to bring someone back, you don't need science. You just need love that hasn't died." Ethan goes still. That sentence hits something deep inside him. Then he turns away, walking fast toward the corridor. The boy remains there, standing in the falling snow street lights, casting long shadows over his bare, cracked feet. Inside Ethan, something small begins to stir, a fragile flicker of light pushing through the darkness. Morning drapes Seattle in a heavy fog. From the fifth-floor window of the hospital, Ethan stared out at a city waking in shades of pale gray. Condensation blurred the glass, reflecting his own face hollow, colorless, aged a decade in just a few days. He hadn't slept. The boy's words from last night kept echoing in his mind. Sometimes, to bring someone back, you don't need science. You just need love that hasn't died. Ethan tried to shake it off, convincing himself it was nothing but the ramblings of a homeless kid. But every time he turned toward his daughter, lying still in that bed, something inside him stirred a feeling he didn't want to name. Fear, hope, and a desperate disbelief that both could exist at once. He gripped his coffee cup tightly. The hot liquid spilled over the rim, burning his fingers, a sting so real, it almost felt like relief. At least pain meant he was still alive. By late morning, the doctor came in, voice steady, professional, detached. "Mr. Cole, we've monitored Lila's brain activity. There's no improvement. She remains in a deep coma. I'm sorry, but the chance of recovery is almost zero." Ethan looked up, his eyes dry, empty. "Almost." The doctor sighed, meaning if there's a miracle, only a miracle can save her. Ethan let out a quiet laugh, one with no sound, No life. Just despair creasing the corners of his face. Miracles. He used to believe in them. He stopped the day his wife, Mara, died, when all the money in the world couldn't buy her one more breath. By afternoon, the light outside turned golden and fractured across the hospital tiles. Ethan stepped out for a cigarette. He stood at the hospital steps, watching the constant shuffle of strangers, people bringing flowers, carrying blankets, moving fast through the cold. Across the street, a battered volunteer truck was handing out soup and bread to the homeless clustered near the hospital. Among the line of people, Ethan saw him again, the boy. Same torn hoodie, same bare feet on the frozen ground. Noah Reed. He stood quietly, not pushing, clutching a worn cloth bag against his chest. His breath rose in pale clouds. When he lifted his head, his eyes met Ethan's through the snow. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Noah stepped out of the line and walked toward him. His voice was calm, almost tender. "You still don't believe me." Ethan frowned. "I don't believe in things that can't be explained." Noah nodded, unsurprised. "Of course. You're used to working with data, with formulas." "That's right," Ethan said. "At least they don't betray me." The boy looked down, his tone soft. "But what if those same formulas are the reason you lost the person you love most? Would you still trust them?" Then Ethan froze. The question hit him like a blow. Before he could respond, Noah continued, his voice steady, almost too calm. "I don't need you to believe me. I just want to see her." "No." Ethan's reply was sharp. "She needs rest. And you need to leave before security gets here." The boy was silent for a moment. Then he said quietly, "You know she still hears you, right?" Ethan frowned. "Hears me? She's in a coma." Noah shook his head. "The body sleeps. The soul doesn't. The problem is you haven't said what she needs to hear." Ethan let out a weary laugh. "Where'd you get lines like that?" "Kid, some movie." Noah didn't answer. He just looked straight into Ethan's eyes. "You yelled at her. You scared her. And you haven't said sorry?" Ethan froze. No one, not a single person, knew that. No one knew Lila's accident had begun with his anger. A spilled cup of coffee, a raised voice, a terrified child, a single slip on the hard floor. He had never told anyone, not the doctors, not his assistant, not the press. And yet this boy knew. He stepped back, throat tightening. Who are you?" Noah's reply came softly, calmly. "Just someone who once lost the person he loved and doesn't want you to make the same mistake." The words sliced through the silence between them. Ethan turned and walked away quickly, but as he passed the glass doors, he caught a glimpse of the boy again, standing motionless in the snow, bare feet cracked and muddy, arms wrapped around that old cloth bag. That night, Ethan didn't go home. He stayed in the hospital room, never taking his eyes off his daughter's face. The monitor beeped steadily, but inside him everything was chaos. He couldn't stop seeing Noah's eyes calm, deep, unshaken, and that one line echoing in his mind. "You haven't said what she needs to hear." When he finally drifted into an uneasy sleep, he dreamed. Lila stood in a white room, looking up at him. "Daddy, please don't be mad anymore. I'm scared." Ethan jolted awake, sweat cold against his temples. He turned to see her small hand still lying still beside him, bathed in the soft yellow glow of the nightlight. He whispered, voice trembling, "I'm sorry, baby. If you can hear me, I'm sorry." But outside, there was only wind and snow falling endlessly. In that moment, Ethan realized his faith hadn't died. It had only been sleeping, waiting for a reason to wake up. And maybe, just maybe, that barefoot boy was the reason why. The following morning, Seattle was still freezing. The sky hung low and gray. The snow had stopped, but mist from the river drifted through the streets, wrapping the city in a pale shroud. On the 5th floor of the hospital, Ethan sat motionless. His eyes were sunken, his hand resting lightly on his daughter's, quietly counting each faint heartbeat on the monitor screen. All night long, that one sentence echoed in his head. "You haven't said what she needs to hear." Ethan wasn't a man who believed easily. He'd led thousands of engineers, built systems so precise that one wrong number could bring everything crashing down. And yet, now a barefoot boy had left him wide awake through the night. A soft knock broke the silence. The night shift nurse stepped in. "Mr. Cole," she said gently, "there's someone asking to see you. A boy named Noah Reed. He says you gave permission." Ethan startled. "What he said you promised yesterday." "No, I never." Before he could finish, Noah appeared behind her wearing an old wool hat, clutching a battered guitar with a cracked edge. The nurse hesitated. "Would you like me to ask him to leave?" Ethan shook his head. "No. Let him in." The door closed softly. The room fell quiet again, just the steady beeping of the monitor and Lila's fragile breath. Noah walked closer, stopping a few feet from the bed. The white light hid his face, dark skin, thin frame, but eyes deep and calm, like still water. He gazed at Lila for a long time before speaking. "She's beautiful," he said softly. Ethan crossed his arms. "You said you could help her. What are you planning to do?" Noah turned, eyes unwavering. "I don't heal people. I just help them find their way home." Ethan frowned. "You think she's lost?" The boy nodded. "Yes. There's light inside her, but that light is afraid of your darkness." Ethan gave a tired laugh. "I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't have time for mysticism." Noah didn't react. He simply stepped a little closer. "Do you know she used to sing for you every night?" Ethan froze. "Before her mother passed." Noah continued. "The three of you used to sing together. A song with the words, 'You are my morning star.'" Ethan stared at him, voice dry and shaking. "How do you know that song?" Noah smiled faintly, pressing a hand to his chest. "I heard it. Not with my ears, with my heart. From her. She's still singing. You just stopped listening." The air in the room thickened, heavy as fog. Ethan stepped back, searching for a logical explanation, but there was none. Everything the boy said no one else could have known. That song, Mara's song, his wife had written it when Lila was 3. There was no recording, no video, no one who had ever heard it beyond their home. He swallowed hard, forcing his voice steady. "What do you want me to do?" Noah looked at him, eyes soft and sad. "Sing to her. But first, say the words she's been waiting for." Ethan stood silent, lips pressed tight. Noah placed the guitar at the foot of the bed. Its strings quivered faintly as he strummed. A slow, warm, familiar melody filled the room. The lullaby, "You are my morning star." The sound was gentle, but in the sterile white space, it spread like a whisper of warmth. Ethan's chest tightened. He saw Mara again holding their daughter by the window, humming that same tune while sunlight brushed through Lila's curls. And himself back then, too busy typing at a screen to notice. Now, the song returned, but the voice was not Mara's, not Lila's. It came from a stranger, a barefoot boy with a cracked guitar. When the melody faded, Noah spoke quietly. She's still here, waiting for you to say 3 words. Not I love you, but I'm sorry. The room fell silent. Ethan said nothing. Noah lifted his gaze, voice steady and certain. If you haven't forgiven yourself, she can't come back. Ethan clenched his fists, eyes red. What do you know about me? You weren't there. Noah lowered his head. I don't need to have been. I was you once. I lost my mother because I thought I didn't matter. I stayed silent. I never said sorry, and I lost her forever. Ethan stared at him. The boy's voice trembled now. For the first time, the calmness broke. Behind those eyes was real pain, not mystery, not magic, but grief, a soul that had known loss. He turned toward Lila. Her face was still, but her lips seemed to tremble faint, like a breath caught between worlds. Ethan sat down, hands shaking. He tried to speak, but the words stuck in his throat. Finally, he whispered, Lila, I'm sorry. A single tear fell onto her hand, on the monitor. Her heartbeat ticked slightly higher. Noah only smiled quietly, knowingly. See, she's still here. When the nurse returned, the boy stepped back, nodded politely, and left without another word. Ethan watched him go, mind spinning. He wanted to ask to understand, but the door closed too soon. He stood there, surrounded by the scent of antiseptic, the hum of machines, and a strange, hollow ache in his chest. He wiped his eyes, and for the first time in months, he didn't feel afraid to cry. Maybe the boy was right, maybe not. But one thing was certain. For the first time, Ethan didn't feel completely alone. Outside, the snow began to fall again. Tiny flakes settled on the window pane, melting into clear drops that shimmered under the light. Ethan looked out, his voice barely above a whisper. If miracles are real, maybe this is how they begin. That night's snow fell again over Seattle. A small storm had rolled in since afternoon, blanketing rooftops and streets in blinding white. From the 5th-floor hospital window, the glow of the street lights spilled across the tiles, soft and golden, like the light of old memories. Ethan sat beside his daughter's bed. In front of him lay the old guitar Noah had left behind. Wood cracked, strings rusted, yet it still sang when his fingers brushed across it. Each note rang fragile but true, like the breath of the past returning. Lila lay still, her face peaceful, lips slightly parted. Ethan stroked her hair and whispered, Can you hear me? Lila. Someone told me you're still waiting for me to sing your mother's song. His voice broke raw and hoarse, scraped dry by sleepless nights and tears. The guitar trembled in his hands. The strings cracked under his touch. Then, a quiet knock on the door. Noah stood there, the same tattered hoodie, snowflakes clinging to his shoulders. In his hands were 2 steaming cups of cocoa. Coffee keeps you awake, he said softly. Try this. It's sweeter. Ethan nodded faintly, taking 1 cup. The warmth spread through his palms, mingling with the sterile scent of disinfectant. They sat in silence, listening to the soft hiss of snow against the glass. Noah rested the guitar in his lap, strummed a few notes. That song, he said quietly. Her mother wrote it for you. Didn't she? Ethan's fingers tightened around the cup. Yes, it's called You Are My Morning Star. Mara wrote it during the last months of her life. His voice caught in his throat. The day she died, I couldn't listen to it anymore. I was afraid. Every note felt like a blade. So I buried myself in work. I thought if I stayed busy enough, if I made enough money, the pain would go away. He gave a broken laugh, but it never does. Does it? It just sleeps inside you until something breaks it open again." Noah said nothing. He simply began to play slow, unpolished, but raw and hauntingly real. The music filled the room, and suddenly it wasn't a hospital anymore. It was a memory, a warm living room, a window glowing with sunset, a little girl laughing beside her mother's guitar. Ethan closed his eyes. Memories washed over him like film reels flickering back to life. Mara by the window, golden light on her face. Little Lila, only 5, twirling and singing. "You are my morning star. You guide me home when nights are far." The vision shattered him. Tears spilled down his cheeks. He reached for the guitar in Noah's hands and strummed clumsily. The notes were wrong, sharp, but he kept going. "Keep playing," Noah whispered. Ethan took a deep breath, his voice trembling. "You are my morning star shining bright where the dark things are." He paused, gave a shaky smile. "I forgot the rest," Noah replied softly. "That's okay. What matters is you're singing again." Ethan looked at his daughter, then back at the boy. "You think she can hear me?" Noah smiled. "She doesn't just hear you. She's smiling." Ethan turned and froze. Under the dim light, Lila's lips curved faintly, a soft, dreamlike smile. His heart skipped, pounding so fast he had to press his palm to his chest. Something had changed. The air in the room felt alive. The monitor still beeped steadily, but its rhythm had shifted. Stronger, more certain. Noah set the guitar down and spoke gently, firmly. "Now tell her, not because she needs to hear it, but because you need to say it." Ethan leaned forward, holding his daughter's hand in both of his. His voice shook, but every word came clear and honest, carved from the weight of years unspoken. "Lila, sorry. I was wrong. I let fear and work steal your laughter. I thought I was protecting you, but I was only running away. If you can hear me, just know this. I'm here. And I'll sing for you every day whether you wake or not." A tear slipped from his chin and fell onto her small hand. A soft beep echoed from the monitor, one heartbeat different from the rest. Ethan looked up. On Lila's face, that faint smile deepened. Her eyelashes trembled as if trying to open. Noah smiled, eyes glistening. "See, you've already awakened your light." Ethan couldn't speak. He just sat there, holding her hand tight, letting the tears flow freely. The music lingered not from the guitar, but from somewhere deep within him. Time slipped away unnoticed. When Noah finally stood to leave, the storm outside had stopped. He pulled on his worn hoodie, snow melting in his hair. Ethan called after him, "Noah, who are you? Really?" The boy paused at the door. He didn't turn around. Just someone who once forgot how to love and found it again when he heard someone else start to sing. The door closed softly behind him. Ethan sat still, watching his daughter, his heart filled with something he couldn't name: pain, warmth, and wonder, all at once. He smiled through his tears. For the first time in years, he wasn't afraid of the music anymore. He strummed one last chord, whispering the final line of the song, "When I lose my way, it'll follow your heart." The sound lingered, blending with the hum of the machines, the rhythm of her breathing, and the heartbeat returning to the man who had once forgotten how to feel. That night, the wind went quiet. Snow melted slowly on the rooftops, dripping into clear beads along the window frame. The hospital room was utterly still. A soft amber light spilled over Ethan's and Lila's joined hands. He sat there, eyes fixed on his daughter. Each heartbeat on the monitor was a silent prayer. Inside him, everything had melted: pride, fear, anger all stripped away, leaving only one thing: love. Ethan strummed a single chord. It was perfect, but it was real. He began to sing again, this time without hesitation, without trembling. You are my morning star guiding me through the dark. His voice cracked, but he didn't stop. The music wove through the sterile air, mingling with the faint hum of machines, with the dim yellow light. And then he heard something else, not from the guitar, not from the monitor, but a sound so small it could only be breath. He looked up. Lila's lashes fluttered, so softly and then stilled. Ethan froze, breath held. Lila, he whispered. No answer, only the sound of melting snow, dripping softly onto the window frame. He bowed his head, hands shaking. His voice was barely a whisper. Lila, can you hear me? Please, sweetheart. And then a faint voice, weak but clear, like it was crossing over from another world. Daddy, don't cry. Ethan shot upright. Lila, was that you? Her eyes stayed closed, but her lips moved trembling, fragile, yet unmistakably alive. You sing so bad, Daddy, but I missed that song. The monitor beeped faster. Ethan reached for her, holding her tightly, tears breaking loose like a flood. Oh God, Lila, you're awake. You're awake. Doctors and nurses rushed in at the sound of alarms, chaos, shouts, movement, but through it all, Lila's eyes opened, still hazy, but real, alive. Ethan held her hand, whispering through tears, I'm here, sweetheart. I'm not going anywhere. And Lila, voice soft as a sigh, replied, I know, because you sang to me. Amid the noise and disbelief, Noah was gone, vanished as if he had never been there. No one saw him in the hall, no name in the visitor log, no trace on the hospital cameras. When everything calmed, Ethan finally noticed. He asked everyone, but no one knew him. Even the nurse frowned, confused. There's no one named Noah Reed here, she said. Not a patient, not a visitor. Ethan searched the corridors, the lobby, the charity truck outside. Nothing, only an empty wooden bench and a small cloth bag left behind. Inside was a worn notebook. On the first page, written in faint pencil, my mom once said, those who sing from the heart will be forgiven. Noah Reed beneath it, a folded note, written in shaky but steady handwriting, Mr. Cole. If the girl ever wakes, don't look for me. I only came to return something I lost long ago, the belief that people can come back from the dark. Keep singing. Your music is the kind of prayer God listens to most. Noah Ethan read it again and again, hands trembling, eyes blurred with tears. The boy had wanted nothing, no money, no thanks, no fame. He left only a song, and that song had saved them both. 3 days later, Lila recovered miraculously. Doctors shook their heads, baffled. There's no medical explanation. They said her brain activity just came back, as if she'd only been sleeping. Ethan didn't argue. He just smiled. He knew. The miracle hadn't come from medicine. It had come from an apology, a song, and a barefoot boy who taught him that faith, too, has a sound. That afternoon, sunlight broke through the gray. Lila could walk again. She sat by the window, hair tied high, softly humming their song. Ethan sat beside her, listening. Dad, Lila said suddenly, where's the boy from my dream? Ethan turned to her, startled. What boy? The black boy with the guitar, the one who smiles a lot. He told me, come back. The light is waiting for you. Ethan's eyes filled again. You saw him in a dream. Lila shook her head. No, I think it was real. She paused, then smiled faintly. He said you used to be a lost boy, too. Ethan didn't answer. He looked out the window, where the sunset spilled gold across melting snow. Somewhere in the wind, faintly he thought he heard guitar strings, soft, distant, like a farewell. That night, Ethan opened Noah's notebook again. On the last page, he found a line he hadn't seen before, written small and careful. When you truly love, you can awaken even what was once dead. Ethan closed his eyes and strummed once more. The melody filled the quiet house, mingling with Lila's laughter from the next room. And softly, like a prayer to the night, he whispered, "Thank you, Noah. Thank you for teaching me how to sing again." And somewhere far down the street, under the glow of a streetlight, a small figure sat against a brick wall, a boy with an old guitar resting on his knees. He smiled, eyes reflecting the golden light from the window of the house that was singing again. That morning, Seattle felt reborn. After days of snow, the sky was impossibly clear, a soft, pure blue. Sunlight poured through the window of Ethan Cole's living room, where Lila's laughter danced in the air, mingling with the gentle strum of an old guitar. The house that had once been cold and silent for years was warm again, not because of fire or luxury, but because of simple things: a song, a laugh, the scent of fresh bread rising from the kitchen. Ethan sat in a wooden chair by the fireplace, a cup of coffee warming his hands. He watched his daughters sitting cross-legged on the floor, singing "You Are My Morning Star" with the neighbor kids, their voices innocent and bright. Each time he heard that melody, Ethan's heart ached, but not from pain anymore. Now it was gratitude. Every note felt like a thank you whispered to the sky, to the barefoot boy who had vanished into the snow. After Lila's recovery, Ethan turned down every interview, every magazine offer, every headline. He gave only one statement: miracles happen when we stop trying to explain and start listening. No one quite understood what he meant, but the man who once built empires of logic and code no longer cared to be understood. He sold part of his company and used the money to found the Morning Star Center, a small art space on the outskirts of Seattle, where anyone could come to sing, play, or simply sit and listen. No tickets, no price list, no fame required, only heart. On opening day, a soft rain fell. Ethan stood on stage, microphone in hand, his voice low but steady. Today isn't about technology or money. It's about sound, the kind that once saved my daughter's life and mine. Before him stood a small crowd, the homeless, orphans, strangers carrying invisible burdens. Ethan looked at them, eyes gentle, glowing. If there's something you've never had the courage to say, sing it. Because sometimes a song is the only way to say you're sorry or to say you still love. He paused, then strummed a few chords. The old song began again. "You are my morning star." But this time, others joined in. Lila's voice, children's voices, adults, people once broken, now singing together. The music wasn't perfect, but it was real. It filled the air like the first light of morning. When the performance ended, Lila ran up and hugged her father. "Daddy," she said, her voice bright, "I feel so happy today. It's like Noah's here somewhere smiling." Ethan knelt, brushing her hair from her face. "Maybe he is, sweetheart. Maybe he's still around in every note we play." Lila's eyes sparkled. "Dad, I want to start a program for people without homes, so they can sing too, like he did." Ethan looked at her for a long moment, then nodded with a soft smile. "Morning Star will begin there, my love." That evening, when the crowd had gone, Ethan stood alone on the stage. The wind slipped through the open doors, carrying the scent of rain and new wood. On a nearby chair, he saw something small, old, rusted, a broken guitar string. He picked it up, heart trembling. He didn't need to ask whose it was. Noah had been there. Ethan sat down, replaced the string, and began to play once more. His voice cracked, but it was warm, alive. When I lose my way, it'll follow your heart. And this time, he didn't sing alone. From across the room, Lila's voice joined his two voices, blending in the empty hall, mingling with the soft patter of rain outside, a song of healing for souls that had once been lost. That night, back home, Ethan stepped onto the porch. Above the city, a single star burned bright against the dark sky. He smiled and whispered, barely audible, "Thank you, Noah. I understand now everyone can be someone's morning star." A breeze passed through, carrying something faint, a soft vibration, like the hum of guitar strings in the night. Ethan closed his eyes. No fear, no loneliness, only peace and a simple truth. Miracles don't disappear. They just change shape. They live on in those who dare to love, to sing, and to forgive. Spring came late to Seattle, as if the city itself still hesitated to shake off the cold of its long winter. But this year, the sunlight arrived a little earlier. Along the small road leading to the Morningstar Center, cherry blossoms had already bloomed. Their petals drifted in the breeze, scattering a soft pink across the old brown rooftops. Ethan Cole walked slowly along the stone path. His hair had turned a little grayer, but his steps were lighter, his eyes calmer. He stopped before the wooden sign hanging by the gate, Morningstar Center, a place to sing, to heal, and to begin again. The words were written by Lila, round, slightly uneven letters, but firm, like her quiet belief in something good. Inside, the afternoon gathering had begun. A circle of people, young and old, were singing together. Some were office workers. Some had once been homeless, but all of them smiled. All of them listened. Lila stood in the center of the circle, her small guitar in her arms, hair tied high, eyes bright with life. When she spotted her father, she grinned and ran to him, tugging his hand. "Dad." I added a new verse to the song. Really, Ethan chuckled softly. "Let's hear it." Lila strummed a few notes and sang, "Even when the night is long, someone's light will lead me home." The words were simple, but they caught in Ethan's throat. He couldn't speak, only nodded. In that moment, he understood his daughter had grown from the very place where pain once lived. And now, her light was spreading, reaching others. That evening, after everyone had gone, Ethan stayed behind. He sat in the last row, eyes wandering the quiet room. On the wall hung a small photograph of Mara, a younger version of her, radiant beneath sunlight. Next to it was a recent picture of Lila, taken at the center's opening day. Between them, Ethan had pinned a small drawing, a smiling boy with dark skin and gentle eyes. Beneath it, in handwritten letters, Noah Reed, the boy who brought light. No one really knew who the boy had been. No records, no address, no trace. But Ethan didn't need proof. He believed some souls come into this world only to do one thing, and when they've done it, they quietly move on. Outside, the street lights flickered on. Ethan stepped out onto the porch, inhaling the cool night air. Above him, the sky shimmered with countless stars. One shone brighter than the rest in the east, where the morning sun once rose. He whispered, "Good evening, Noah." A soft breeze brushed past, carrying the faint echo of guitar strings from somewhere far away. Ethan smiled, sat on the steps, and opened Noah's old notebook. On the last page, beneath the boy's handwriting, he added a new line of his own. Sometimes we don't need to see the miracle. We just need enough faith to sing along with it. Ethan Cole. The next morning, Lila woke him early. "Dad, let's take the guitar to the park today. There are a lot of people like Noah out there I want to sing for them." Ethan looked at her, pride filling his tired eyes. "Of course, sweetheart. Let's go." They walked down the street together, carrying the old guitar. The sky was clear, the pavement damp with dew. People paused to listen as Lila began to sing. A little black girl approached shyly, smiling as she dropped a coin into the guitar case. "What's your name?" Lila asked. "Mia," she said. "I love singing, too." Lila beamed. "Then come to Morning Star tomorrow." Everyone gets to sing there, behind them. Ethan watched something stirring in his chest. The sunlight touched the girl's small face, and in her smile, in her eyes, he saw Noah. He blinked, looking up. The sky stretched endless and blue, and far in the distance, a thin streak of light crossed the air like a guitar string drawn across the heavens. Ethan whispered, "You're still playing, aren't you?" Then he turned to his daughter, smiling softly. "Lila, sing the last verse." She nodded, strumming gently as her voice rose across the park. "When the night feels long and cold, I'll still find you in my soul. You are my morning star." The park fell silent then, one by one. Voices joined in, strangers, passers-by, old men, children, their voices rising together under the morning light. Amid them, Ethan heard a young man's voice, low and warm, familiar. He didn't turn around. He didn't need to. He just smiled, because he knew Noah was still there, in every song, in every gaze, in everyone learning to believe again. Finally, Ethan looked toward the horizon, where the sunlight blazed across the river. He whispered softly, as if to himself, "Miracles don't live in the sky. They live in the heart when we dare to love, to believe, and to forgive." The morning light washed over everything, and somewhere, carried on the wind, the faint strum of a guitar echoed the sound of light itself. Maybe all of us, at some point, will face a moment when faith slips away, when an apology comes too late, or love left unspoken turns into regret. But this story reminds us of something simple, yet profound. Miracles aren't somewhere far away. They live in the way we choose to love, to speak our hearts, and to forgive not only others, but ourselves. Sometimes a smile, a song, or a single "I'm sorry" is enough to change an entire life. So if there's still someone you love, say the words you haven't said. And if you've ever lost your way, believe that light still waits for you at the end of the road. Thank you for sharing this story with us. If you believe in the power of kindness and faith, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so together we can spread more stories that truly touch the heart.